Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a special edition of Z Midnight Views. I'm your host, Germ So True. I'm in the building. But wait a second. What's that? What's that? Hold on. Something's going on. Somebody is coming onto my live right now as we speak. Oh my goodness. Wow. Look who we found.
I'm
Wow.
here. I'm
Wow.
alive in the flesh.
Wow. Wow. Look what we got, y'all. We got Mo Schefter on the line. Hey man, I see that the best time to get you is after midnight. I see,
Bruh, listen, sometimes when you're doing these certain things in life, your time is not necessarily always yours. So in order to claim my time, we gotta go on exclusive times. We are right now touching every time zone there is.
Hey, I mean, well, technically we are technically. So with that being said, let's just jump right into it
Yeah.
real quick. First and foremost, man, do me a favor. If you're okay, blink once. If you're not, blink twice. All right. Okay. So all right. I think he's okay. I think he's okay.
I'm here, man. Listen, I'm gonna tell you the truth, right? I've just full disclosure, you know me, I am transparent can be. I took about a 6-hour nap today. And yes, I said a 6-hour nap. And I woke up around like 10. I finished up my little things. And I was just kind of sitting there like, man, what shall I do? And then my Twitter popped up and said, in case you missed it, which I did miss it, Levante David signs 2-year, $25 million contract. I'm like, okay, let me call the ace. You know, when you know everybody got an ace. I said, let me see what he's doing. Let me see if he's free. Cause my creative process and his creative process can be very similar and very random. So here we are, midnight on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, whatever you want to call it, about to talk some football. Let's do it, Jerm.
Hey, absolutely. Shouts out to KG in the comment. He's like,
oh, what up,
WTF?
KG?
With the laughing faces. KG, I just happened to find him. I don't know how I found him.
It just got signal. Yeah, I sent out a code.
Yeah, you know. He got on the bat. He got on the Batman yes. robe. You know, yeah. So that means I sent out the bat signal and he showed up like Bruce Wayne. So
because it's been a while.
So here's what we got. This is actually you're actually on to something I was gonna save. So now we have a championship window show that we can have right here and talk about.
Let's do it.
The championship window, as we talked about, is about 3 to 5 years, right? Yeah. So we got a 3 to 5 year window. With the 3 to 5 year window that we have, with this being said, and with the 3 to 5 year window being a part of the rookie quarterback scale or rookie contract, especially for your big draft picks, your first and your second round picks, what I'm really here to really want to talk about with the people is we see what's going on in Tampa right now. We see that they have a Super Bowl window here of 3 years, and they're trying to win 3 of 3. So now they got people coming in. So with this being said, are we going to start seeing some of these young guys and some of these teams sacrifice some money up front and in some earlier years, or maybe in the later years like some are doing, just to see if they can get the proverbial ring out the way? What are your thoughts on that?
What is it saying in business, Jerm? As you know, you gotta spend money to make money, and it's no different in any business. No matter the principles, no matter how big it is, whatever business you got, it's going to have the same principles for the most part. There's going to be different things here and there, depending on whatever industry it is. But at the end of the day, it's all principles, core, fundamental principles, and you got to invest in your stock. You got to invest in your business in order for it to thrive the way you want it to thrive. Mm-hmm. And for the Buccaneers, what I can compare it to is the situation with Peyton Manning when he went to Denver, and they gave Demaryius Thomas all that money. They went out, they got Wes Welker. They went out, they paid Emmanuel Sanders. They paid Eric Decker. They paid Julius Thomas. They got Aqib Talib. They paid Von Miller. They got DeMarcus Ware. They paid TJ Ward. You know, they found a gem in Chris Harris and made sure he stayed. they just spent all across the board. And it ended up giving them 2 Super Bowl appearances in 4 years, and they won one of them. Now you fast forward here to Tampa, same thing. You got a once-in-a-generation type of player, arguably, forget arguably at this point. You got the best quarterback to ever play, undoubtedly one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time at any position, just because of the value of the position. So, yeah, I'm going to keep my core guys because at the end of the day, realistically speaking, it was but 2 things: Tom Brady and Antoine Whitfield. That was the missing pieces. Winfield, I keep saying Whitfield, Antoine Winfield. Those were the 2 missing pieces, but not Brady being the biggest one. So you got him playing at a spectacular level, and
Tristan
it's not
Wirfs as well. But
oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, I apologize. Yes, those 3, absolutely. It's not like he went there in his first year and they made the playoffs or they made the championship game or they made the Super Bowl. They won the whole damn thing, Jerm. So it's like, okay, everything this guy preaches, everything he is as advertised. As much as the hype is, he is as advertised. So now for Tampa, yeah, I'm not going to let Chris Godwin go elsewhere when he's still in the prime of his career. Yeah, I'm not going to let Levante David go finish his career elsewhere when he can finish it here with more championship rings and go down as one of the greatest of our franchise ever. Because if you notice, it's not like they gave Godwin 5 years, 80 million. It's not like they gave Levante 5 years, 54 million or 60 million. 2-year deal, franchise tag. What does that tell you? We're risking it all for this window. When this window closes, guess what? Bruce is going to go. Bruce is going to retire. Bruce is walking off to the sunset with Tom Brady. That's the bottom line. Bruce Arians right now, his career, his 401k is number 12. And so that's why Ndamukong Suh is going to get re-signed. And no, I don't think anybody, the only person that might end up leaving is Shaq Barrett. Simply because Shaq is going to get paid by somebody way too high of a lucrative salary. He is going to get a phenomenal contract. And Chris Godwin would have got one too had he gone to free agency. But at the very least, you secure Chris Godwin one more year. You're probably going to get AB back at a bargain for another year. You're probably going to get, well, not probably, you will get Gronk back. Gronk came out of retirement to go play with Tom Brady. He is not going to go catch a football from Dak Prescott. Shout out to Dak. We're going to talk about it. He is not going to go catch a football from Trevor Lawrence while he develops. No, he is only going to catch a football from Tom Brady. So now if you're Tampa, you're looking at it, guess what? They running it back. League year ain't even started yet. And they letting the whole league know, hey, this wasn't a fluke. We are far from playing our best football. And we are bringing everybody back and saying, y'all got to come get us this time. And we ain't going down without a fight. So shout out to them, because all conventional thinking of how to build the championship team goes out the window when you have such extreme special circumstances like having the GOAT on your roster.
So with those things being said, here's the thing that I'm looking at right now. For a guy like Shaq Barrett is 28, 29, I think, at this point in his career, about 28.
Yeah.
You can sacrifice a year or two and you can go and still get another contract. That's the most beautiful part about this. For a guy like Levante, you probably only go play 4 more years at the most. So why not stay where you've been your entire career and ride out this 2-year window? Because Devin Bush doesn't want you to leave. That's number one. Then you got the situation with Gronk and AB. Everybody thinks they got a shot at AB, and teams think they have a shot at Gronk. I don't think people understand what it means for those 2 players to continue to play with 12.
Yup.
I think we have to understand what that means. This is not a praise of him. This is just saying he's a leader of men that unlike we've ever seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody enjoys playing with this guy. Everybody feels like they have a chance to win when they play with this guy. And not to mention, Tristan Wirfs played his ass off this year. I mean, as a rookie. So shouts out to him. But we're also talking about the fact that one of the guys, as we segue into some other things, is some free agent moves that are starting. One thing that we have for sure is one guy that Tom Brady got paid is renegotiating just currently renegotiated a contract with the Oakland Raiders, and he is now being traded to the New England Patriots, and that is Trent Brown. He will be going back. Why is this significant? People think, oh, well, he's not that good. It's not about him being good or bad. That's not what it's about. It's about having pieces that are familiar with your system, familiar with your team, familiar with your culture, bringing these guys in as you prepare to try to, push your chips to the table and get a proverbial quarterback. So you got Thuney walking away in free agency. You still got Cannon. You still got a lot of other things that you can do. David Andrews is a free agent as of now, but I don't know if he walks now with this bringing back of Trent. And I'm going to be honest, besides the pursuit for a quarterback, they still have a solid defense that they put out on the field every week. They still have Bill, which is still one of the best defensive minds in football. And there's not very much else that they really need in order for them to get back in the win column. Get yourself a quarterback, and everything else will start to fix itself from there because you still got Josh, and you still got some pages in that EP that you may be able to run with some of these other quarterbacks. Mo, thoughts on that?
Well, I think for New England, as far as they're concerned, they don't have a championship window right now because they don't have a quarterback. So what they're doing is they got to build their foundation. When you're building a house, you put it in the windows pretty much at the end, right? Ain't no championship window now. So they got to build the structure of what they want moving forward because they got a new house to build. And so I think for New England, okay, yes, we hear rumors that they want to go get Jimmy G. That's fine if you think Jimmy G could get you to a Super Bowl. I can't say you're wrong because he was a starting quarterback in the Super Bowl just a year prior. So the number one thing to keep in mind for New England is Stephon Gilmore right now is one of, if not the most important people on your team. Number one, he has the most value. Number two, he's your best defender. So you got to decide on what you do with him. You got Dante Hightower coming back. You got Jason McCourty coming back. You got Patrick Chung, who's coming back. Dante and Pat Chung both opted out last year. So you got both those pieces coming back who are the staple guys to what Bill wants to do defensively. So I think if you're Bill this year, it is very important to build to do the right thing in this offseason. You can't just go into this offseason and think you're going to get a quarterback in July. That's not going to happen. You cannot do that this year. You got away with it last year. Everybody kind of forgave you last year for saying we're just going to wait, and you just happened to luck into Cam Newton. You Tom Brady left, you're depressed a little bit, you miss you're sort of like, when your favorite ex-girlfriend leaves, you just get a little down for a little while, and you're not really sure what to do, and no other girl really looks good. That's what Bill was going through. He was like, all right, you know what? Cam had an MVP year. He's the best I can get my hands on right now. Let's see what we could do. Let's see if this thing works out. Clearly it hasn't. So get you a quarterback first, and then we can start talking about the window that they got, because the number one thing that I'm going to look for is Dante Hightower going to come back and be that same player? Is Patrick Chung at 31, 32 years old, 11, 12 years in the league as a strong safety, an undersized guy playing in the box? You take a year off, and now you want to put yourself back into that battlefield? Well, guess what? Your mind might be ready, but your body probably is done. That's the reality. Your physical body probably just said, oh, we're not doing this anymore? Cool. Let me just sit back and kick it. All of a sudden, you're going to give it that shock. You just don't know how it's going to respond. And I'm not really reaching here because this was something that we pointed out when Le'Veon Bell took that year off. And as much as we love Le'Veon Bell, he really hasn't been the same consistent player that we're used to. We see the flashes every now and then. We still see the fundamentals that make him so spectacular. But we haven't seen that level of dominance where you can give him the ball 20 times and he's going to get you 150 plus yards on the ground. We just haven't seen that from him ever since he took that year off. See, this is football. This ain't baseball or basketball where resting your body longer could do you good. This is football. It's like Tom Brady said it best. When the season ends, I got to keep my body going. Well, these guys, their body has been shut down for the last year. So how will they respond? So I'm still very skeptical about New England's outlook over the next 2 to 3 years. And so to me, we can't even talk about a championship window for New England because it just simply isn't there right now.
And that's a fair assessment. The biggest thing here that I'm looking at for New England moving forward is I want to see what they prioritize. This is your time that as Bill.
Exactly.
This is your time as Bill. You build the best damn defense that you can build, and you put your offense together piece by piece. And now we get to see if you really are the architect, like people say that you are.
Mm-hmm.
Because believe it or not, we got to call it what it is. He hasn't done much building in 20 years.
Uh-huh.
So now for the finale. Mr. Dakota Prescott.
Ooh.
$66 million just to put the ink on the paper. $75 million total just for the first year. It's going to average out to about $40 million a year total. Up to $164 million is the total as well. There is a no trade clause in this contract, and there is a no tag clause. So no trade, no tags. They can no longer do that to him. And I do not blame them for this. Initial thoughts.
You know, I want to address both perspectives because, you know, even though I've been out of the loop, this was something that obviously you could not miss. And some of the comments on the social media streets, you just simply cannot ignore. So I'm going to address both sides to this, okay? Number one, I'm going to address the people who think Dak Prescott didn't deserve this contract. And Jerm, you know, I call you Webster, and although you think it's shade, I literally mean it affectionately. We're going to pull out Webster tonight because y'all using this word deserve. And we're going to reference from the thesaurus, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who had two famous sayings. Number one, who in the blue hell are you? Number two, it doesn't matter who you are. Who in the blue hell are you to say what a professional athlete does or does not deserve, has or has not earned? Because you don't know the sacrifice. Shout out to Ball U Academy. You don't know the sacrifice that goes into this day-to-day grind of what it takes to become a professional football player. Guess what? Ryan Leaf is considered the biggest bust in the world. If me and Ryan Leaf had a throwing competition, he would look like an all-pro. Let's just say that, all right? At the end of the day, Dak earned that contract. Shout out to him. He deserves it as a man, as a player, as an athlete. Now, let's talk about it from a football perspective. Let's talk about it objectively. This is 100% on the Dallas Cowboys. This is a 4-year heavy contract to your roster, okay? And the reason it is a heavy contract is because Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott could not agree. Whatever happened, whatever it was, they just couldn't agree. Regardless of the reason, Jerry, you have been in business for a long time. At the end of the day, you negotiate, but when you know you want to purchase something, when you know you want to invest in something, you know this: more is lost by indecision than wrong decision. Shout out to Tony Soprano. In this situation, Jerry, more was lost by indecision than wrong decision. If your decision was to not commit to Dak long term, you should have stuck to that. But if your decision was that eventually you were going to sign this quarterback to be your franchise long term, you should have done this 365 days ago. And that's the bottom line. Because Stone Cold said so. Or Batman Mo said so. Go ahead, True.
Hey, taxation without representation, you lucky
Ooh.
first day mother. Hey, so look,
Ooh.
that's kind of where we going with that, because here's the thing. I'm not gonna tell you. I'm telling you what I'm not gonna pay. I'm just that's just where I'm at.
Right.
Because we got to use the right words is very important. It's crucial to conversation, because conversation rules the nation, boys and girls and boys. Shouts out to the Gorilla Zoe. I just want y'all to understand Dak from a professional quarterback standpoint. We can't name 15 better quarterbacks than Dak Prescott.
Cannot.
We may not be able to name 10. But what we have to be honest about here is where we are with paying quarterbacks that amount of money. You have an aging offensive line. You have a lot of skill position players that honestly that you're paying, and you may be overpaying a couple of them. A receiver is getting paid $25 million a year. That's a lot. As much as we love Amari Cooper is not more valuable to your football team than Ezekiel Elliott. So it's almost like in so many words, as just for the smart ass who's going to come and say, "But they didn't get good until this."
Come on,
no,
come on.
Ezekiel Elliott and the offensive line are a very, very, very huge part of the Dallas Cowboys' success. They are a big part of Dak, because Dak was one of those quarterbacks at one time that relied on play action, just like another quarterback did and does to this day, and will always have to be reliant on. And we're not going to say his name because there's no more point to mention him in this sentence with that type of money. So with those things being understood and those things being said, can we please be fair and objective to the fact that you're paying him to put butts in seats?
Bingo.
That you're not paying him to do anything else, because now what you're going to do is you're saying you have a 4-year window to try to get to a Super Bowl. That means now you're going to put your best draft hat on, and you also have the star on your helmet. So you're going to be able to get free agents, and you're going to be able to get good draft assets. It all starts this year. It all starts now. You just paid Dak. You got everybody else around him locked up. So now that we got that taken care of, Chef, we need to focus now on what are we doing in the draft? What are we doing in free agency? And then I'm going to pass it to you, and then let's just talk about free agency and the draft capital aspect. And I'm going to give you a couple players to watch for.
Okay. So you talking about the Cowboys?
Absolutely.
You know, when Vic wakes up in the morning and he drinks his little coffee or has his cereal or has his kale smoothie, whatever it is that he be doing these days, he's going to appreciate this part. You got to find your next Tyron Smith. That is the most important part right now for the Dallas Cowboys. It's not easy, but guess what? It has to be done. And to me, for now, for Dallas, you got to find somebody. You get somebody to replace Tyron Smith. Now, all of a sudden, that great wall of Dallas can start to take form. Zach Martin comes back. Hopefully, he can stay healthy. You got a young center there. We'll see how he does, even though I don't think Vic is very high on him. And then Leah Collins, who's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. He has turned into one of the best tackles. But I would still prefer to see him at guard. But at this point, you still got to get something there to solidify it. But the number one thing is getting that left tackle set. After that, your 1 gap, your 2 gap, your 3 gap, your 3 tech, your nose tech, your 1 tech. You need somebody on that interior line who can be stout. Let's call it what it is. It is no longer, we talk about this all the time, Jerm, it's no longer quarterback, left tackle, edge rusher. It's quarterback, protect the quarterback, get the quarterback. And why did we change it to get the quarterback? Because of one man, realistically, Aaron Donald. The first reason was 2007 when New York, the Giants just kept crashing down the pocket on Brady. But the biggest reason, the reason that position's value has been revolutionized is because of Aaron Donald and Loki and Ndamukong Suh. So if you're Dallas,
JJ.
Well, yeah, JJ was, especially when they played that 3-4 and they kicked him inside. Absolutely. No doubt about it. So if you're Dallas, protect your quarterback and go get you some beef in the middle of your defense so your linebackers don't look like, what do you call it, Germ? Grated cheese, shredded cheese, Parmesan cheese, whatever. Okay? You need to get some beef on your defense. Imagine if you put beef on pizza or if you put cheese. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Point is, you got to get some beef. It don't make sense. Your linebackers are vulnerable. Your safeties are vulnerable. Your cornerbacks are vulnerable, and you haven't paid a corner yet. So the number one thing for Dallas, get you a left tackle and get you somebody on the inside, and then you can start to see what really is the missing piece so that you can maximize this 4-year window. So you might be able to win your division this year. You get that left tackle, you get that nose tackle. You might even win a playoff game. You might get to the conference championship. But to really get to a February game, you got to see what the missing pieces are first. And Dallas has missing pieces, but they can't really hone in on what is their weakest link until they protect and secure the two most important things behind the quarterback. You got the quarterback. Now go protect him and go get somebody who can go get him from the interior and who can be somebody who can make your run defense a little respectable.
So here's what we have. Here's something interesting. We have Leonard Williams that's going to be available this year.
Boom.
You also have Sheldon Rankings that's going to be available.
Boom.
And I'm going to give you one more name. Big Shelby Harris.
Another good one.
So we just named some guys that you can plug into your system and be able to have some things. Now, I know last year they lost Don Terry. I know they lost him last year.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have to say this. A football team isn't built on 1 through 22. It's built on 1 through 53.
And let's be honest, Don Terry Poe is not the same Don Terry Poe that we know. Again, it's sort of like with tall people, when they start having foot problems, Don Terry Poe is a mammoth human being, okay? Mm-hmm. When you start having those injuries to the bottom part of your body, it's just not gonna. And you older. He's 30. What? 32?
Yeah, about 32.
Don Terry Poe was not that big of a loss. I'm sorry to say. I'm mad. I'm sad for him. You know, Jarrell McCoy was a bigger loss, if anything. Even though he wouldn't play very well last year for Carolina. But for you got to get somebody there that you know for 16 games, whoever's running the ball at you is going to have to prepare for you. Right now, when teams want to run the ball against Dallas, guess what? They're going to call their plays and they're going to run their scheme the way they want to run it. When people call running plays against the Buccaneers or against the Rams, it's not the same thing because they know they got somebody in the middle that they got a game plan for. And that's a huge difference.
And I'm with you on that because for Dallas moving forward, it starts trenches and then it goes on out.
Yep.
And that's where it's going to be the most important part of it. Now, as I said, I'm going to talk a couple draft prospects that they can look at as well. Looking at where Dallas is drafting this year, we're just going to be honest. What you drafting, where you're drafting this year in the top 12, you need to be focused on offensive linemen. There are about 5 tackles in this draft that you can be looking into. You also got guards like Dan Feeney, Forrest Lamp that are going to be available. Joe Thuney is available. You can really make some really big moves and build this team to be successful here in the next couple of years. Go ahead.
Joe Thuney and Hunter Henry should be their 2 free agency targets. My honesty, because that way you can let Amari Cooper go after this year and rely on CD Lamb and Hunter Henry, and then you clear up more cap room. But go ahead.
Well, the thing is, you still have to pay Gallup coming up. And with those things being said, is Gallup an X? No, he's not. We're just gonna call it what it is. So CD is the closest thing you're gonna have to an X. So with us knowing that and us seeing those different those things, we have to be able to, if we are Dallas, we have to be able to draft well with these picks that we have this year. So that means our first round pick needs to be a guy we set up, and he needs to be a guy, a part of our future. If you feel like you want to draft a guy on the defense, there are players that are going to be available that you can look at. Dallas, you're on the clock because you got 4 years to figure this out. I don't know if Dak stays after this 4 years. We're going to call this the Wendy Special, 4-for-4.
I say this to you, Germ. They better find out by year 3 of this contract if they're going to keep going with Dak, because don't let this contract expire or he's gone 100%.
Whew, it just looks like it's rough. So that being said,
they got, listen, Dallas. Last thing I'm gonna say, Germ. My bad. Last thing I'm gonna say, Dallas, man, listen, they got an uphill climb because they have invested so much already, but it's a weak foundation that they've invested so high in. So you gotta draft better, and you gotta spend whatever you have left on staple pieces. Don't go get me 6 corners that can barely play. Don't go sign in a guard who can barely cover, who can barely block, or who can run block well but can't pass block well, or can pass block well but can't run well. Don't go get me another tight end who can only run speed routes. To me, Joe Thuney and Hunter Henry, most important guys you can go after, and then you draft a defensive tackle since you're picking in the middle part of the draft. When are they picking?
Dallas, let me see right here. Keep talking.
I mean, let's say they're picking. Okay, well, to be honest with you, it matters when they're picking. But if I'm Dallas, I am investing in a surefire defensive tackle if I can't get that surefire tackle on the offense. If I can't get Tristan Wirfs or Andrew Thomas type of player, I'm going for a defensive tackle because there's a much better chance that guy is going to be better for me for the next 6 to 7 to 8 years. And I'm going to go get me Joe Thuney, and I'm going to go get me Hunter Henry. What Hunter Henry does is that alleviates Dak. What Hunter Henry does is diminish the value of Amari Cooper, period. And it's way better, way better to pay a tight end money and free up your wide receivers when you still have CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup, who's going to be a little bargainish. But I would rather have CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Hunter Henry than Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and Michael Gallup. That's the truth.
So what we have here is the Dallas is 10. So I'm going to give you a couple names.
So at 10, you can still get a franchise tackle, right?
Man, listen. And we have a draft here where we have Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields to go along with Mac Jones and Trey Lance. That's 5 quarterbacks I just named. And all 5 quarterbacks can be taken in the first round, potentially. And we all know how quarterbacks make people go crazy.
I mean, when did Wirfs go? 14, 15?
Wirfs went 13 or 14.
So you could still get a left tackle at 10, Dallas. You got to find somebody to either.
So I'm about to tell you the tackles. We got Penny Sewell, who is going to be the first, projected to be the first guy. That's the number 1 guy on everybody's board.
Okay.
We also have to look into Rashawn Slater from Northwestern. He may be a guard, but again, you said you need a left guard anyway, so why not look at him? The guy that we need to be taking a look at for Dallas is Christian Barmore from Alabama. 6'5", 310. He could be your 1 tech right there for the future. You also have Christian Darius Saw, whatever his name is. Terrible with names. Shouts out to him. But he is also another tackle prospect that is graded pretty highly, and he's in the top 15 of the draft. So, I mean, there are players here. I just named 3 tackles and a defensive tackle that they'll all have a chance to look at. And I think they'll be fine with just looking at these players right
Agreed. Agreed.
And of course, you're at the 10 spot. If you don't want Hunter Henry, there is a guy named Kyle Pitts from Florida as well. I don't know if you want to invest draft capital into a tight end, but that's something you can do.
Not that high. I wouldn't do that high. I would rather spend on a surefire guy that I can have for the next 3 to 4 years.
It's possible. Well,
that
and
high, I'm protecting or I'm getting. Go ahead.
Shouts out to Tanya because she put all the Dallas draft picks in the comments.
Oh, I see shouts out people also, in the comments.
Yep, and we got Tanya. She said, "It's so good to see your face, Mo." And she said,
"Thank you, Tanya."
Yeah. Stop. Hey, so my guy Jaquan is in the comments as well.
Yes.
He said that Batman hoodie though, with the fire signs. He's definitely.
Yeah, it's actually a robe. Shout out
he
to
got
MJ.
He got a Batman robe. Wow,
yeah, it's a robe.
All right, and I think she was in some agreements with a lot of different things. But as you see here, we pretty much have covered everything here in about 40 minutes. Just a quick little 40 minutes to get him back in the swing of things.
Man, listen. Again, you know, I got no issues being transparent with the Views crew and the Scene crew and everybody in this family. I'm looking around like, man, I need a therapy session. Oh, hey, Germ, Midnight Views. I needed this. I needed to talk football. So go back. It's a good way to get back into the swing of things. Kind of just dive into the deep end, and then we're gonna go from there. So I appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate everybody in the comments. Appreciate everybody who's gonna have their morning coffee, their virtual morning paper, as Germ calls it. I can't even do it. Germ got to do it.
Well, I want you to know real quick, Dennis, we didn't talk about Lamar Jackson tonight because he doesn't have a contract. Just so you know, Dennis, he doesn't have a new contract. What
is it to talk about? What'd he do? He find a cure for Corona? What'd he do?
Oh, with that being said, this has been a special edition of Zzzz Midnight Views. So I just want y'all to know that this right here is just a surefire token way for us to show you that we are versatile in the way we come. He just came and hit me up out of nowhere.
Like 11:37.
I'm sitting here. I'm thinking the night is over. I got my feet up, and next thing you know, here we go. So, okay, so last question for the night. We get Dennis that says, I know that. Is he going to get more than Dak? Dennis, you shouldn't even we're not answering that question on live. We're not doing that. I'll deal with y'all later with dots. Oh, okay, Dennis. All right, Dennis. Meet me in the film room so I can show you why I ain't getting no money.
Come on in. Go down the road, wait till it ends, go through a hole. You're going to see a cave. Just dive through it. Don't be afraid. You're going to find me and Germ with like 35 screens on the monitors.
Yep. So with that being said, Zim Midnight Views, Mo Schefter, Germ So True, Views from the 22, reporting live to you here on the scene. Make sure you guys check out all of the great content we got tomorrow, which this will be shared today, which will be today, Wednesday. We got tonight. We have a beautiful show planned for you from the dish. Make sure you go check out Stoppage Time FC from earlier. Make sure you go check out the 94 Feet of Life second half preview. Make sure you check out the show from Sunday. Man, listen, man, y'all better just make sure y'all there. SCEN, all capital letters on Facebook. _scene on Twitch. Scene _the on Twitter. The.scene on Instagram. Of course, you already a part of the YouTube channel if you already seen this video 9 out of 10 times. But if you have not already, please make sure you subscribe. It is THE The Scene SCEN, all capital letters, is the scene. We here, man. Just make sure y'all tuning in. Germ So True, Mo Schefter, signing out, 22.